You're watching Amador County's local television network, TSPN, and now TSPN presents Love, Hope, and Faith with Heather Murdock.
Good morning and welcome to Love, Hope, and Faith. My name is Heather Murdock, and if you are new to the show, you won't understand how cool this is, but if you have been watching the show for a while, you may have heard brand new music, and I'm so excited. My husband's brother, Mike Murdock, a little plug there, he actually wrote me an original piece for the intro of my show. We call it The Bumper. And I'm really excited, so I hope you like it. It's really jazzy and upbeat, and just great to bring in the morning and bring in the show with lots of liveliness. So welcome. I have a wonderful show planned for you today. I have so many great guests. It's just chock full of information and inspiration, and we're going to be offering some tools today, because if you are walking with the Lord, you have a purpose and a plan for your life. Even if you're not walking with Him, He has a plan and a purpose for your life. And sometimes especially if we're involved in our churches and we're serving and engage in our churches, we sometimes may feel like we're not totally equipped to lead. And today we're going to talk about how to become equipped to lead leaders in Christ and fulfill the Great Commission of making disciples of all people and building God's kingdom. And so I've shared about the International Leadership Institute on my show before, and today we're going to talk about it and what it means and what it is, and the fact that we have a conference coming up in Amador County. And it's just a really awesome, I guess you call leadership training or leadership development ministry. And it's something that has really changed my life and the people that I have on my show today. It's also changed their lives. And I just want to say once again, I'm so grateful for the opportunity to host this show every week. I cannot believe the blessing it is to be used in this way, to share how God's working in people's lives, to share how God changes lives. He is in the miracle-making business, and He is just waiting for you to say yes to Him so He can just do amazing things through you and in you. And I'm just so grateful. Thank you, Lord, for this opportunity. And I'm just going to get right to my guests so that we can start talking about this International Leadership Institute. So I have to my left here, I have two very good friends, two besties. I have Candy Thompson. Hi.
Hi.
And I have Adele Messier. Hi.
Hello.
This is girl talk today. This is like girl time. This is like hanging out with my two BFFs.
That's
I love
right.
it. Yeah. So I wanted to share with you guys have actually been on my show before. You've been on, I think you were like my second guest.
Mm-hmm,
yeah.
I was.
And you were on my show as, I think, the first guest, weren't you? Or maybe it was switched. Yeah. Anyway, both of you were on the very beginning, and so thank you for that and for coming on today. And,
thanks for having us.
Yeah. And I wanted to share a little bit with Candy first, Adele, about how you and I got involved with International Leadership Institute. And we are affectionately known as the Amador 4. Well, right now it's only the Amador 3.
That's right.
But the fourth of the Amador 4, Darlene Franks, who's the children's pastor at the Nazarene Church here in Sutter Creek, she cannot be with us today, so hi Dar. So we are 3 of the 4, mm-hmm. And the reason we're called that is because we have multiplied ourselves, and I think this will be our 4th conference coming up that we've mm-hmm. hosted. Isn't it? It's our 4th one in 2 years.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I went to my first conference, it was about 2 years ago, or was it 3 years ago? Time flies. And Darlene Franks actually is related to, she's the sister-in-law to Kyle Phillips, who is the national director for ILI. And that's her brother-in-law. And
mm-hmm.
One day, I have to tell a little bit of Darlene's story, how she got started in it. One day, she has been in leadership in the church for many years, right? But just because you're in leadership, and I'm sure you guys can attest to this, doesn't mean you always know what you're doing. And doesn't mean that you always feel fulfilled, because especially if you feel like you don't know what you're doing, you can be spinning your wheels a lot and feeling like you're ineffective and feeling uninspired, right?
Right.
And so that's how Darlene was feeling. Like, she felt like, Lord, there must be more. I'm serving, but I feel empty, and there must be more, and am I doing this right? I don't even know what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And that very same day, she gets a phone call from her brother-in-law saying, hey, Dar, I'd like to talk to you about some leadership development. And it was such an answer to prayer, because she had literally been praying to God, help me become a better leader. I'm doing so much, but I'm not really multiplying myself. I'm doing everything, and I'm not developing other people. Right? And God calls us to serve others and to help develop other people. And so that was how she got involved. And then I know that you were invited to the conference that Dar put on. She went to a conference with Kyle.
Yes.
The ILI regional conference, which we'll talk about more in a minute, but you went to it. She hosted her first one in Amador County.
Yes.
And what was your experience with it?
It was awesome. At first, she just told me there's going to be this ILI conference, and it helps you with leadership and stuff, and I was involved in leadership. And so I thought that basically that's what it was for people in ministry. I had no idea what would transform, that it would transform me personally outside of leadership as well.
Yeah.
And just how amazing it is.
Yeah, exactly. And Candy, and then I'll share your story too. But before we do that, let's talk about what is taught at the ILI.
Okay.
And the first one is intimacy with God. We actually teach 8 core values, 8 biblical core values of Christian leadership. And the first one's intimacy with God, because without that, can you really be effective in anything if you're not close to the Lord, right? I mean, that's the foundational piece. Then we have culture. Then we have passion for the harvest, and the harvest being what?
Being the reaching other people.
That's right, exactly. Yeah. And then we have the third is visionary leadership. And without vision, how can you lead people?
Right.
You have to have that vision. You have to know where you're going and be connected to God and have that passion, that vision. So that's the third core value. Then we have culturally relevant evangelism. So that's just, I mean, that's a big long word or a big long phrase for basically sharing the gospel. That's what that means, and how to share the gospel.
That's right.
To you know, and make it relevant to the different people groups that we come in contact with. Right. Then we have multiplication of leaders, and that's really where Dar was. She felt like she was doing all this work and like spinning her wheels, but she wasn't really empowering other people to lead with her. Right? Then we have family priority, because God, our first ministry is our family. Then we have faithful stewardship, because God gives us the resources, and we have to make sure we manage those according to His will.
That's right.
And then we have integrity, and without integrity, all leaders stumble without integrity. And so that's the 8 core values. And those are the 8 core values that we teach at the regional conferences. So anyway, so that's how you're saying, Adele, that it really changed you.
Yes.
Not just as a leader, but...
Yes, because it set up a baseline, a foundation. It firmed up things that I had heard but not really gone in depth.
Yeah.
And so it goes in depth into the foundation building of what your walk, what it means to be a Christian, and it's just amazing.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
That's awesome. And then Dar invited me to a conference in Manteca, and I got on fire. I mean, you guys, the Lord just worked in me. I know the same thing for you guys. Just that was where I remember when I was actually after the Passion for the Harvest talk, and then they released us to go and have time with the Lord and pray about what we just learned. And that was where I went into that side room. I've told you guys the story. They said go spend 45 minutes and have alone time. And so I was looking for a little room that I could, have that private time in. And there was a little chapel room and a little old pew, or I should say altar, and an old wooden cross leaned against the wall. And it was totally, no one else was in the room. Yeah. And I thought, oh, great, privacy, and just talk to the Lord. And that is where I literally just lost it over the lost. I lost it. Like, God allowed me to feel what He must feel. That just deep grief and pain for people that don't know Jesus. And I mean, I remember that little altar, that wooden altar, was just paddled in tears. I cried so hard from the pits of a place I didn't even know existed, and that's really where He gave me the vision that I'm to go and share this with people everywhere, and so that was how it changed me. And while I'm at the conference, I'm like making a list of all the people I want to share with, and you were number 1 on my list because I knew you were going to love it, because I know that you're a leader, and you also have been seeking Jesus deeper and deeper and deeper, and really wanting His will for your life. And so I came home and I said, Candy, we have to meet. You have to hear about this. And you said, okay. We went and had, I think we were at Subway. That's right. Yep. And I just started like going through the book. I mean, I didn't know anything. I mean, I just knew I was on fire, and I knew you'd be on fire. And I just started rattling off all this stuff, and you got the fever just through me.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
it wasn't hard to catch your fire. I mean, you had sent me text messages from the event.
Yes, that's right.
Like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So I was already on pins and needles waiting for you to get home to hear what you'd just gone through.
Yeah.
And then when we sat down, we didn't have very much time to meet. We only had a short time, because I mean, this is something you and I could sit and talk about God for hours and hours.
Exactly.
So for a 15 to 30 minute session to be able to teach me everything you just learned in 3 days.
Yes.
And that's why you just started rattling through it. But I think the things that caught me on fire the most were when you said that God doesn't want us to stay on the surface. There's so many of us that are on the surface that don't go deep. He wants us to go deep. He wants more people to go deep. And I thought, oh my gosh, I so want to go deep. I mean, I was yearning for that better understanding and that deeper relationship with the Lord. And the fire that you had on all the topics, and it just, I mean, I get goosebumps even talking about it now, that I thought, oh, well, of course, I have to go to this. Like, this just makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah, and I mean, it was just so cool. I mean, it's really the God working, you know.
Absolutely.
I mean, God, was preparing us both. You and I had been seeking the Lord through Bible studies together and things like that, and we'd already been seeking that depth. And then it's like the Lord just said, okay, you want more? Here it is.
That's right.
And I just love how He works like that.
I do too.
And so then then we put on a conference about 6 months later, I think it was. And then we'll talk more about it when we come back from break. But then you put on a conference right after that, 90 days later.
Right.
Which is why we're called the Amador 4, because we have been the example and the model to the entire ILI community, which is global.
Right.
Especially in America, though, on how to duplicate ourselves and multiply this equipping ministry, this training ministry.
Amazing.
And so you're a huge part of that, Candy, because you said, we're not waiting 6 months, we're not waiting a year, we're doing this in 90 days.
Well, I was the only one there from my church, and I thought, I can't wait a year for them to hear what I just heard. So we had to turn it around quick.
And you did, and that was awesome. Okay, well, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
Okay.
You're watching your local television network, TSPN, and now back to Love, Hope, and Faith with Heather Murdock.
I'm just loving that new music. Thank you, Mike Murdock. Okay, I'm here today with my two wonderful friends, and we're discussing the International Leadership Institute. And if you missed the first segment, we're going to talk more about what that is, but I just have a question for you. Are you feeling frustrated in your leadership? Are you feeling frustrated in your service of the Lord? Are you overwhelmed in your church? Are you serving, but really never feeling like you're accomplishing God's will or God's purpose or God's work? If that's where you are right now, you really need to tune in and listen closely today, because we have the tools for you. We have the answer for you. So, getting back to you, Candy, you were saying that how on fire you were for the ILI, all the core values I shared with you, and you were just like on fire to learn more about it.
That's right.
And so we would put on a conference. You attended. You were the only one from your church that attended, because we should say that we only invite 30 people at a time.
That's right.
Because we want to keep it how Jesus did it: small, intimate. 30 people at a time, and then multiplying that, and
That's right.
And people, each person from the conference, our goal, our purpose, our intent is that they would go and do an ILI in their church, and it's non-denominational, and it's all about Christ.
That's right.
And we want to invite as many churches as we can into a community so that it spreads.
That's right.
And so you came from the New Life Christian Center.
That's right.
And tell me how you experienced your first ILI event after hearing about it through me.
Well, I was really excited to hear it, but I mean, I've been through so many different trainings. I mean, I've sat through hours and hours and hours of amazing trainings. And so that's what I kind of envisioned it to be. I didn't understand the equipping that would take place. And for me, in my church, I mean, I teach children's church one Sunday a month. Like, I am not a leader in my church by any stretch of the imagination, but it didn't matter, because I still wanted to go deeper with the Lord. And I felt like in order to make a difference, in order to go out and share the word with other people, number one, you had to be a leader. You had to be an influential leader that somebody was going to listen to. And what's one person going to do? So when I went, I was so excited to learn that one person can make a difference. And here's the tools. It's not just telling you. A lot of times churches will just tell you, that we're supposed to be disciples, and that's what we're called to be. And then you leave, and you're like, gosh, I wonder how I become that.
Yeah, exactly.
How do I actually get there? And our church is really, really a discipleship church. So I'm very blessed for that we are taught. I mean, a lot of what is taught in our church is taught at ILI. I mean, it's very the same in that manner. And so it was exciting for me to really grab a hold of every single one of those core values and go deeper within myself. I mean, it's a lot of information, and you kind of let the Lord guide you and filter what is going to speak to you at that moment. But that's how I caught such fire, is just that it's exactly what I was looking for without even knowing I was looking for something,
And I love it because what it does, Candy, you kind of hit on it, is that we tend to think that leadership is for the special people in church, the pastors and the different ministry leaders. And that's not true.
No.
This conference teaches us that we just ordinary, average, regular old people can be used in mighty ways by God.
That's right.
And that and that through this equipping, we can then go out and apply it.
Right.
Like you just said. How did you, Adele? How have you used the ILI core values in your life, even outside of the conference?
Well, it's just been amazing because with the intimacy with God, it really kind of it helped me to go deeper than just reading the scriptures. It was how to look at the scriptures, how to apply the scriptures, and what intimacy with God meant. Was it just scripture reading? Was it just prayer? I put them all, isolated them all, and so it kind of put it together into one box, so to speak, of how to have that relationship with God. Because without the relationship with God, I am gonna fall back to my old ways that I know that don't work with me. And then how am I gonna know what my part in His plan is if I don't stay intimate with Him?
Exactly.
So it just kind of it helped me on that personal note, and then it also helped me on the leadership note to know how to form a vision, know how to have that the family priority and stewardship that's all on the core values. It helped me to put it all together in my life and how to balance that out. And I've also used it when I've done discipleship with one-on-one with other people to help them, kind of discover, even if they don't even know who God is, if they're a beginner, so to speak, or even if they are, but maybe they haven't had that relationship. For me, I didn't have that relationship in my early life. I kind of was just a doer. I kind of went through the motions. Yeah. And so it really teaches you literally step by step how to have that relationship, what it means to have a relationship, and what His purpose is for you.
Yeah, exactly. And I love how it keeps it so simple. 8 core values. And like you just said, you can use them individually, but the real power, I think, is when you learn how to use all these in conjunction together, all the 8 core values and apply them all at the same time. That's when the power really is there. And I mean, honestly, I work in human resources, and I use these core values in how I interact with people in the secular world too. I mean, I don't come out and say it, but in my own mind, you know what I'm saying? The visionary leadership and, multiplication, empowering other people. So, I mean, these are principles of leadership,
That's right.
and they're biblical, but they're leadership that you can apply in all aspects of your life, Yeah, and Candy, you said something interesting too. You've sat through a million leadership conferences, so have I, and many people out there have. And you're thinking, what's this ILI? It's just another conference. But there's something about ILI. It's used by God, and it's so Holy Spirit driven. Because it's not just a conference you go to and then come home and put the binder in your bookshelf.
That's right.
It's actually tools that you will use that change your life.
Well, it transforms you too.
Yeah.
It gives you the tools. I mean, it's not, you go to a training and you go, and you amongst 10,000 other people are watching this amazing speaker, and you go home and you're like, wow, that was good, and you're on fire for 4 days, and then it goes away. This actually gives you the tools to duplicate it.
Yeah.
You don't just go and sit and watch somebody speak and then say, gosh, I wish I was them.
Yeah, exactly.
Or I wish I could do what they do. You actually are given the tools and the leadership and the mentorship and the guidance to turn around and duplicate that yourself as just you, ordinary Joe, going and putting on something huge that transforms people's lives. And that was a big deal to me. And another thing that really spoke to me from the conference was that, the American church is not really what, in my opinion, what Jesus really had envisioned. A lot of people helping saved people, creating groups and Bible studies and programs for other saved people.
Right.
When ultimately our job is to reach out to those that are lost, those who don't know the Lord, and not to go share the word with them and preach on the corner, but to really let them see our light and gravitate toward that. And so I love the whole concept of this, because I'm like you, where my heart is for reaching people that don't know Jesus and helping them find the way, you know?
Exactly. It's kind of like living radically, you know. A lot of people are saying they want that balance in their lives. Well, I just want to have God, over here and have that balance and just kind of, play it safe. God doesn't really call us to play it safe. He calls us to live radically in His will and trusting Him fully and going out there and making it about other people, like you just said, Candy, reaching other people with the gospel, the good news,
And it could be something that, steps into unfamiliar territory for people, which generally they try to stay safe.
Comfort zones.
Comfort zones. And so it's but with the Holy Spirit, and once you're equipped with that, anything is possible.
Yeah.
So you do have that fire to just turn around and do it again.
And share it with other people.
That's right.
And that's really what it's all about. And you said the mentorship. I mean, ILI is wonderful because it's an international ministry that started over in Europe. It's been over here for about, I think, 13 years. We'll have to have Bob give us the concrete dates on that. But anyway, it started in Europe, and it's like amazingly spreading over in other countries. I mean, ILI is huge internationally, and it's big here too, but it's slower because of the reasons you just said.
That's right.
The American church, we're anesthetized with our own programs. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We're just kind of sitting in our comfort zone. So this is a way to get us back to God's purpose, to get in alignment with His will, really live radically for His purpose.
That's right.
And so so the 8 core values are simple, they're duplicatable, like you said, Candy, and there's something you can take back and start using immediately. That's we have a conference coming up, don't we?
We do, yes.
What are the dates?
January 4th, 5th, and 6th, and it's a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's actually the first one after New Year's, which in my opinion, the kids just went back to school, right?
Yeah.
And we're ready for a little break.
Yeah.
Gonna need some fulfilling. And so it's at the East Campus is what we call it. We have 2 churches with New Life Christian Center. So in Pine Grove is a church that's actually used just for events like this. And so we've been blessed to be able to use that facility. It works great for this program. And it is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It is, $50 for the entire weekend, which I love. I love that it is so doable.
Yes.
And that covers breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They're feeding you for all 3 days, and housing. If anybody comes from any other areas, that we're finding families that will house people from other areas. So you don't have to pay lodging or anything. I'm very excited about it coming up, and it is filling up quick because there hasn't been one for a year.
Exactly. And the website to register is iliteamusa.org, and that's iliteamusa.org. Get on there, register. You will not be disappointed. This could be the moment that God's had for you that's just really going to change your life. So, like Candy said, it does fill up fast, and you can also contact me. My cell phone number is 209-406-1202, and you can call me and connect with me, and I'll get you signed up. And it's just really exciting, and I love both of your fire still after all this time on fire for ILI.
That's right. So, it's amazing. I can't wait for it.
Yeah, we're excited. So, okay, well, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
The Gordon Hill Flower Shop.
You're watching your local television network, TSPN, and now back to Love, Hope, and Faith with Heather Murdock.
Welcome back to Love, Hope, and Faith. My name is Heather Murdock, and today we're talking about the International Leadership Institute. And Bob Meese here. Good morning.
Good morning.
You've been my guest before as well.
Yep.
You guys are all returning veterans of Love, Hope, and Faith. So, I know, Bob, you know a lot. You're actually the communications director for the USA ILI.
Right.
So you are the resident expert, and here we were just bubbling over with our stories and our testimonies, but you're here to kind of share the nuts and bolts. And before we do that, I wanted to show you, not only, like Candy said, is it $50, which gets you meals for all 3 days, it gets you, we'll put you up in a host home, all those things, but you also get this beautiful workbook and book called Leadership Beyond. And each participant gets one of these, and it's just filled with all the core values, as well as how to take, opportunity for note taking, and it's just really, it explains the history, and it's really a nice book. So you get this as well, and ILI has morphed into more than just the regional conferences, hasn't it?
Well, ILI USA really recognized that what they had been successful with internationally was the kind of leadership conferences that we're going to hold here in January. That's the exact type of conference that they've done all over the world for the past 15 years. Mm-hmm. And for the American church, there was, because of the anesthetized nature of people in the pews, and the efforts to serve the saved without really getting into the community, it became apparent that we had a lot of Christians here who weren't going deeper enough in their lives, mm-hmm. who were catching the fire, becoming a Christian, and then settling back into their daily lives and not really living the Christian life as fully as they could. Mm-hmm. And I think to a large extent it's because there's so many distractions here. Yes. There's so many opportunities to do other things with your life other than living a solid Christian life, mm-hmm. Christian to the core. So we developed for the American church a discipleship program mm-hmm. that kind of layers on top of the work that we do in training up leaders through Leadership Beyond conferences. Now we have in-church discipleship programs that can be led as a small group, mm-hmm. It's just a Bible study, however they want to implement it, and it's called Christian to the Core, and this is the manual for that. And we've been doing this for about a year now, and the churches who have adopted this have really recognized mm-hmm. that their own membership have all stepped up to the plate at a much higher level mm-hmm. Than they were before. Yeah. And so it uses the same 8 core values, which are for Christian leaders, really takes it down to the individual worshiper, and that each one of those, we don't tell them up front, but the reality is each one of those can be and should be a leader in their families, in their community, in their Christian walk, and sharing that with others.
Absolutely. And Adele, we did Christian to the Core at our church.
Yes, we did.
And that was that during the summer? Last summer, I think?
I think so, yeah.
And how did it impact you?
It was just awesome because it was to go deeper with the people that you surround yourself on Sunday morning. Yeah. And to just hear the different, because so many things, you do one subject a week, and to hear just all the different, how people apply it in their lives. Mm-hmm. And to hear people come up with ideas mm-hmm. and to ask questions mm-hmm. and for it to be interacting with the pastor and with each other mm-hmm. is awesome. Yes. Because you know we're all there as a body, we're a church family, mm-hmm. And you know we're called to also work as a church family and go out together and serve the Lord. So it was great just to get all excited and go deeper together with your church family, as well as when you do the conference, being with other people from different areas. Yeah, and I remember the feedback through the Christian to the Core in church was people were saying, this is exactly what I've needed. I've been a Christian I heard people say, I've been a Christian for 30 years and no one ever taught me these things. You know what I'm saying, right. Bob? You must hear that quite a bit. Yeah. It's just that they've really not known what it meant to live Christian life to the full, to be mm-hmm. really Christian to the core. Mm-hmm. And so if you're in a church and you're wanting a discipleship program that you can really hit people at the heart of their Christian walk, you can go to www.christiantothecore.org, and there you can find all of our resources for this discipling ministry. You can order these books for your small groups. There's a pastor's pack that you can order that can go to the pastor that will have a copy of this, plus
instructions on how to basically roll that out to his members so that they can all
He could even do
take value of it.
There's a sermon series.
There's a sermon series.
Wonderful,
In fact, all the sermon series are online, so that if he wanted to do a sermon series, he could just go online and all of those materials are available to him. They're actually recorded sermons from other pastors around the country who have done this already.
Let's see the devotional. I want to read that paragraph.
Oh, the other what Heather's talking about is we've created also a daily devotional, 40 days of Christian to the Core, and this is for people who either been through the program and want to continue on, people whose church haven't adopted it yet and really don't have any other resources and want to spend really 40 days learning what to do a full Christian walk is. And one of this quote from C.S. Lewis in the first paragraph of the...
Or you can read it,
book.
whichever.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. C.S. Lewis once said, "If Christianity is not true, it is not important. If it is true, it is all important. The one thing it cannot be is moderately important." Okay. And then here's the first paragraph that says, "I submit to you that the great sin of the modern age may be our tendency to try to make Christianity moderately important. God desires that you develop deep roots, grow strong, and experience His full power and presence. A God-shaped life is illustrated in the Bible as a flourishing tree planted by God through the work of His hands. Those who trust in God and make Him their confidence can be like a tree planted by a stream of water, whose leaves are always green and always bear fruit." And that's it. That's beautiful. That's it. And I do see a lot of Christians who are at that point where they don't feel like their life is bearing fruit. And we know that that's not completely in our hands. The Holy Spirit is who bears fruit through us. However, we have to be open to that and be in obedience to Him and live how He's called us to live. You know.
Well, I've heard a lot of grumbling after the elections about where America is going. And I don't care who is elected one way or another. It's not really the responsibility of our elected officials to turn America around as far as a nation of faith. The reason that things are bad is because we are a nation who is Christian in name only, if we're Christian at all. And it's the secularness of our society and the secular values that are constantly we're being bombarded with that have drastically changed the nation in the 50 years I've been around. I mean, and witnessed what's happened in this country. And so taking Christians from where they are and infusing them with these core values and bringing all of that stuff to the surface so that they're living Christian to the core every day, both to be an example to others and to just be an example to their kids and to their families, and living that life is really where this nation can again flourish and not be drugged down into this kind of secular society that we have now.
Christ came to give life to its full measure, and that's available to us. We just have to open ourselves up to it. Life is not mediocre when you're following Jesus Christ, and I do see mediocrity. And I'm not judging people, because it's I think we all have the tendency sometimes to be attracted to the worldliness, to the world, and this material, this ILI, the core values, really helps you to keep that God perspective, like that God-shaped life, right?
And I think what the three of you earlier said, that there is so much going on in churches that's serving the saved. We've got this kind of, there's so much to do, to put the programs on, to run the daily operations of the church, that people start believing that the purpose of the church is to do the functions that they do inside the building. And what I like to say is, what I'm finding is that regardless of denomination, regardless of church, in most cases the American churches are great basket makers. They're looking for more wicker to put around the basket to keep that light inside the building, rather than forging lampstands where they can be a beacon themselves to the community that they sit in.
Exactly. And don't you think, though, Bob, that we are called to sharpen each other? We are called to develop each other. We are called to focus on the church. Jesus loves the church.
Right.
However, it's not one or the other. It's both. We're called to do that and to serve others and to serve the lost and to spread the gospel to the ends of the earth, you know? So it's not either or, it's and.
Well, it's something. Some people have gifts in some areas, but I think that the giftedness when it comes to serving in the small Christian community of your church is often favored over developing people to reach out beyond that, to stretch themselves.
Do you know what? Dealing with the lost is messy and it's uncomfortable for people, but it's so rewarding.
Right.
It's so rewarding when the Holy Spirit's really working through you and you're really living, you know, in His will and out there, you know, living, being the light in the hurting world, being the light in the broken world, not being shallow.
Anymore.
Exactly.
Well, it makes us
Exactly.
vulnerable to go out there and be outside of, you know, ourselves, and to get out of our comfort zone.
Exactly.
Like you said, you know, so that could involve, you know, going into places that, you know, aren't comfortable, or just even if people aren't comfortable talking to other people in general. You know, just like we're more comfortable talking to our family and to our friends, to go outside of our circle.
Yes.
It's challenging.
It is.
Yeah.
But that's where your faith has grown.
Yep.
You know,
Right.
when you're fully reliant on Him. So when we get back, we're going to talk about another tool that's came about as the ILI ministry just grows and changes and evolves. So we'll be right back in about 3 minutes.
You're watching your local television network, TSPN, and now back to Love, Hope, and Faith with Heather Murdock.
Welcome back to Love, Hope, and Faith, and I hope you've been getting a lot out of today's show. There's been a lot of information. We're actually going to be reviewing the websites later in the show. But first of all, we wanted to plug a new and exciting thing happening. There's a new platform. It's actually a web-based platform called Grow. And it's an online discipleship, essentially, isn't it?
Right.
And we're going to show the video, and then we'll talk more about it. So hopefully they can cue the video up, and it's about a 2-minute video. So please watch, and then we'll talk more about it.
Hi, my name is Wes, and I'm here to introduce you to a new spiritual online journey called Grow. Grow will help you to go deeper in your relationship with God, will increase your love for people, and will help you to know God's greater purposes for your life. This journey involves 12 interactive sessions that you take with an e-coach in a small group of other people. The platform uses cutting-edge technology and provides you with social networking opportunities to ask questions and get insights from your e-coach and the other participants. The content for Grow was developed through global research. The Grow team discovered that there are 8 essential core values for Christian living. As you go through this journey, these 8 values will be invested in your life. To begin a session, you watch 2 short videos. The first video introduces the theme of the session, and the second video includes a real-life story. Then go to the Read and Discuss section. This is the main section for each lesson. Here you will study the Bible and explore a major life principle. You will answer questions and discuss important issues with the other members of your group. The third section is called Apply. Here you will consider how you will apply this lesson to your own life. The fourth section is Share. In this section, you're invited to share your thoughts, discoveries, or commitments with others on Facebook or Twitter, email, or in the group chat area. Finally, there's the optional Go Deeper section, which you'll find on the right sidebar. This might be my favorite section. Here you will find music videos, teaching videos, real-life testimonies, and other Bible passages. There's even a place for you to add your personal notes. So to summarize, first, you watch videos. Next, you read and discuss the main insights. Third, you consider how you're going to apply what you've learned. Fourth, you can share the most important insights with others. And finally, you can go to the Go Deeper section and learn more. Now there's one more important feature that I need to tell you about. You need to know how to access your e-coach and the other members of your group. Go to the top of the page and click on the icon that says Write Your e-coach. This is one of the coolest features in the platform. Your e-coach is your personal guide on this journey and will interact with you during each session. Your coach is also always available to answer questions and to help you grow. Your communication with your e-coach is private. You can also access the group forum. This is where you can publicly dialogue with others in your group about important issues. So let's get started. Let the journey begin.
Hey, we're back. That is a wonderful tool. I mean, it's amazing. It's something that you can do from home and have an e-coach. I mean, one of the things people complain about is our lives are so busy, and there's no time for discipleship. There's no time to go deeper. And this completely addresses that issue. You can do it anytime you want. It's online. And I was a part of the team that was a beta tester for the site, and that was fun. It's just really an awesome tool. I love it. And you can tell us more about,
Well, I think the first thing with you, it's basically www.grow. Pardon. See, I should have taken that water from you, Adele. www.grow.jesus.net. And you recognize immediately that you're part of a global community.
Yes.
We ask you, what nation are you logging in from? What language do you speak? And then from there, you will be assigned a group of 8 to 10 people who will be your walk through this ministry with you, walk through this discipling activity with you over however long it takes you to do it. And you'll be assigned an e-coach who speaks in your language, who, if you have any questions or concerns and want to know more about the information that you just studied or the videos that you just saw, you can ask those kind of questions to your e-coach and they can respond to you online.
Yeah.
And it's basically it's anonymous in the sense that only first names are used within the little community that was created, so your email addresses are not being given out to the other 10 people who are in the group with you. Your e-coach knows who you are, but beyond that, that's the only way. He only knows your email address.
And I love the questions that are asked. It really draws you in to go deeper with Jesus.
You see what other people are thinking. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You're sharing. It's an online community. Tell us where it actually got started.
Well, Jesus.net was a ministry based out of Poland.
Yeah.
And it was an attempt to a Christian radio station owner and a group of evangelists from Paris got together and created this online ministry for the purpose of reaching the lost online. You can actually go on and they'll have a globe. And as you watch the globe on the site spin, you'll see where different people are making confessions of faith.
Yes.
Online
so
on the Jesus.net site. The grow portion, the grow.jesus.net, is actually the next phase. After you've gone, if you don't know Christ at all, if you've never been a Christian before, people go on to the Jesus.net site and they can learn what it means to be a Christian and make a confession of faith. At that point in time, those individuals as well are assigned a group through Grow, where they can then be discipled and continue on in their growth. So that's where it got its inception. Now we're using it as well as a tool for people who've been Christians their whole lives, or have just become Christians, or wherever they are in their walk of life, but feel they need to grow in their spirituality, grow in their faith, grow in their walk with Christ. So this enables you to do that with a small community of people who are in this little web-based group with you, who can support each other, ask each other questions, give encouragement, say, I've been there, because you're talking to other people who, you may not have ever felt free enough to turn to someone who sits next to you in church every Sunday and say, this is something I'm struggling with.
Exactly. And I just keep thinking about how ILI really encourages and helps you go deeper. And I became involved with ILI very early on in my walk. And I really attribute, I feel I have a very deep relationship with God. And I really attribute a lot of that to ILI because I don't know how to do it any different. Right from the very beginning, I was exposed to this depth, to this meaningful, God-centered relationship, God-centered, life. And a lot of Christians, like you're saying, maybe didn't have that exposure or that expectation or that discipling, and this is the answer to that. All these tools that we're talking about today.
Correct. I mean, there's all kinds of ways to get the training.
Yeah.
And this is just another avenue or a way to grow it in a different way. Because each time you do it, even if you're using a different medium and have done a Leadership Beyond conference, have done a Christian to the Core Bibles or small group study, or gone online and done Grow, each time you get some different aspects, something new added.
Yes.
God drips something new into your life that you didn't see before in a different way. So the different formats give you a different way of accomplishing the same thing or growing in a different way.
Well, let's do a quick overview of the history of ILI.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, I know I've done this here before,
Yeah.
but essentially 15 years ago, or approximately that, there were Billy Graham brought a group of Christian leaders to Amsterdam for the purpose of identifying the 8 core values of the most effective Christian leaders. And that became the focal point of the ILI ministry when it launched internationally, was to infuse people with those 8 core values at a much greater level so that they could become more effective Christian leaders in their own right and multiply their ministry more effectively and more swiftly than it was happening worldwide.
Exactly.
And so with a staff of 10 people, ILI has reached 85,000 Christian leaders around the world in 10 years. Wow. I mean, it's pretty amazing.
It's powerful. And Wes and Joy Griffin are they're some of the founders of
Right, they're
ILI.
the founders,
Yeah, and Wes, he has an amazing testimony. So does Joy, for that matter. And he's actually on the Grow video that people saw today. That's
Correct.
Wes Griffin, and
That's
he's
Wes.
maybe someday we'll get him on my show too. That'd be wonderful.
One of these days when
Yeah.
he's back out here again, yes.
Yeah, and they're just, I mean, what a passion that they have for multiplication and kingdom work. We call it kingdom work.
And to take it from just leadership development and helping emerging Christian leaders become more effective in their
Yes.
role, to looking at America and as a discipling ministry, because most Americans know Christ, but very few have a deep walk, and to develop the tools in Christian to the Core to help them grow that core more effectively, to be stronger themselves.
I mean, it blows my mind when you hear their story. They're average people, average people who God gave a vision to. And he has followed God's vision and been faithful with that message that God gave him to carry
Right.
out. And now look at it. It's global ministry. It's just so cool what God can do in people's lives when we say yes to him.
And that's what we're asking everybody here to do. Look at your Christian walk. There's what I'd like people to consider. First, if they're in leadership at all or an emerging leader in their church, I encourage them to register and attend the upcoming conference in January. And they can find the registration materials at iliteamusa.org. And you'll see the Amador Conference up in the header, and you just click on that and you can register for the Amador Conference. If you're in a church and you want a discipling ministry, you want to do a small group discipleship study, I encourage you to go to www.christiantothecore.org. And on that site, you will find all these materials: the Christian to the Core small group study, the Christian to the Core 40-day devotional, if you just want to do it by yourself through that study. You'll find materials for your pastor to learn how to lead a Christian to the Core program in the church. So all those resources are there on that site, and so I encourage that to happen. And if you're just sitting there alone at home and you are in front of your computer and you want to try something just totally amazing, go to grow.jesus.net and become part of a small team of people who want to grow in their own faith through that online ministry. And I would do it all. I've done it all. And it's pretty amazing when you start living at that level.
It's amazing the changes that God will make in you.
Yes.
And how he'll use you. And he did not call us to live mediocre lives. He did not call us to live lukewarm lives. He called us to live lives of passion for him, fire and passion, and spreading that to other people, and being his light in the world, in a hurting world that is in so desperate need of Jesus. So we'll see you next week, and have a wonderful week.
You're watching Amador County's local television network, TSPN.
1 in every 4 women are victims of